Yalla.
So I'm here with Loyal Sharif. He just gave a speech at the John Jay University, and it was a great speech. I agree with a lot of the things you said. I think we have a lot in common because I was born in Iran and the Islamic Republic, and I was also brought up to hate Israel and the Jews and the Zionists.
And
We
Christians.
have Christians, and also, so I moved to the UK when I was 13, and I heard about your story of how you was born in Saudi, in Jeddah, and then you ended up going to the UAE, and you are a Muslim. You call yourself a spiritual Muslim, but also a Zionist.
Proud.
I'm a proud Zionist. That's exactly like me. I'm a proud
Proud
Zionist.
Muslim Zionist.
Proud Muslim Zionist. So I wouldn't call myself a Muslim. That's maybe a point of disagreement between us. I'm very spiritual. I believe in God. I see God as energy, frequency, vibration, and as you said, you're a spiritual Muslim, not a authoritarian or like an extremist.
And Islamist.
In Islam. So you were speaking so much about the Abraham Accords, and we have the equivalent of it, the Cyrus Accords. Just tell us more about that, and how do you think it will actually happen?
The Cyrus Accords?
No, the Abraham Accords.
The Abraham Accords, Yunus, first of all, a real pleasure being with you.
Thank you.
Yunus, the Abraham Accords are the greatest achievement in American foreign diplomacy when it comes to the Middle East. Everyone has to know this. There are the peace agreements between Israel and 4 Arab states, UAE, I was going to say Saudi, I hope Saudi, so UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan. And the Abraham Accords are the people-to-people peace between Israel and those 4 Arab states. They are different from peace between Israel and Egypt, or Israel and Jordan, which are like mostly security agreements. But they open the doors for Arabs and Israelis to mingle, to know each other more, and to have a better Middle East that is based on mutual understanding and prosperity.
Okay, cool. So do you think, for example, the Cyrus Accords, so you're working very hard on the Abraham Accords. I'm actually going to Israel from the 2nd to the 10th of November,
Nice.
and they're actually taking me with a delegation called the Cyrus Accords. So one day we hope we're going to overthrow the mullahs and hopefully have the same thing, because if that, I think that's the last sort of puzzle. But what I really wanted to ask you is about the Renaissance, because I think Christianity and Judaism have gone through their own Renaissance, but Islam hasn't, and I think voices like you is what's making it happen. So what do you think needs to happen within Islamic countries, or the
Reinterpretation of religious texts that go for hate. Simple, basic, and elementary.
Yeah.
And if we don't have the courage to say this out loud, it will never happen. No.
Why do you think it doesn't happen though? Why do you
Because
think
people are afraid. People
Okay.
are afraid, especially authorities, religious authorities are afraid of saying this out loud. But a reinterpretation of so many religious texts that are understood in the context of hate or religious battles, these verses or these interpretations or these narratives that are attributed to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, need to be reinterpreted. And I believe this is the way that you do a reform.
Do you think it's a matter of reinterpretation, or do you
Yes.
think it's a matter of fact? Because if, for example, in the Quran it says kill the Jews, do you think that's a matter of?
I believe the Bible says a slave has to obey his master. That doesn't mean that we should reinsatiate or restore slavery. I believe the Bible says so many things as well that are not applicable in the 21st century. And I believe that Islam surfaced in the 7th century. And at that time, the circumstances were different. We were living in the age of empires. We are past the age of empires. So this is why we need to have different reinterpretations of so many religious texts, and we need to have a reconciliation between Islam and modernity. And it's possible if we have the courage to say that these interpretations by old Muslim scholars are historic and should be remain there.
Exactly, and I just want to reiterate this for the audience. When we criticize Islam, we don't criticize Muslims, because I know 95% of Muslims, I have family members that are Muslims, and they're loving people.
And there's a difference between radical Islam and Islamists and Muslims.
Exactly, so we're talking about the idea of Islam, and what we're doing is actually pushing Islam to go through its own renaissance. We're not anti-Islam.
I think Islam is going through a renaissance.
Already.
Don't forget, it's the youngest Abrahamic faith, and it needs this kind of renaissance, and it's going through. But of course, you need to have the courage of religious leaders and authorities. I'm not a religious leader, FYI. So I'm just saying, but I did my own reconciliation, I did my own fixture, and it worked too well.
Exactly. So what do you say, because you was born in Jeddah, I was born in Iran, and we grew up under the oppression of Islamic extremism or authoritarianism, whatever you want to call it. What do you say to the Gen Z of these countries, the USA, the United Kingdom, and Europe, that are siding with Palestine, and then we are called like Zionists and sort of genocide enablers? What do you say to those people?
I say to them, it is so fine to side with the Palestinian people, to live in dignity, side by side with Israelis. It is not okay to side with Hamas in the guise of siding with the Palestinians. There's a difference between siding with the Palestinian people siding with the Palestinian people to live in dignity, siding with the Palestinian people to have a self-determination, siding with the Palestinian people to live side by side with the Israelis, not to live there instead of Israel. But that's different from siding with Hamas. And you can know that by seeing people who are chanting genocidal chants like from the river to the sea.
Exactly.
It's a genocidal chant.
Or globalized intifada.
Exactly, globalized intifada is a mass genocide, real genocide against the Jews. And I say to them, listen to the voices of those from the Middle East. Listen to the voices from those. Listen to the voices of those from the region.
Exactly.
Listen to the voices of those who know. Listen to the voices of those who defeated radical Islamism.
Exactly. But you said, I think there's two different problems here. First is the problem of courage. There's a lot of, I think a lot of Islamic countries and a lot of Muslims, they fail their moral duty to call out extremism within them.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And this is why many Muslim countries need to give the podium, need to give the space to the peace activists who share a different point of view to speak up. We're not giving the space. Why are we doing this in the US? Because we can do it in the US. We can't do it in so many Muslim states or so many Arab states who really don't have enough courage to encounter Hamas and the radical Islamists intellectually.
And also, another thing, very important thing you said in your speech is that the people in Gaza, they don't know any better. They were born into that indoctrination. They were indoctrinated.
They are victims.
And also victims. They are victims, but also not just in Gaza, all throughout the Arab world and in Iran and Afghanistan and Pakistan. They're born into that, and they didn't, as you said, they didn't have the opportunities that we have to come to the West. But then again, there's so many people that do come to the West, but they still support Palestine and they're still extremists. So I think it takes a unique kind of person to speak the truth. And
I agree.
And I think it's like people like you and people like me that will ignite this in the future. So, inshallah, God willing. And one of the issues is that people that are siding with these type of people is like media outlets like Al Jazeera and even CNN and even MSNBC. So how do you think we defeat this monster of the mainstream?
I think it's a war of social media.
Yeah.
I think it's a war of misinformation on social media, especially TikTok and Instagram. And we should compete that by having more alliances with voices that share the same message on social media. In specific, TikTok, Instagram, and X.
Exactly.
TikTok, Instagram, and X.
And that's what we're doing.
This is how we can defeat the false narrative of, for example, Al Jazeera. Who, by the way, Al Jazeera Arabic is the official spokesman of Hamas.
Yeah, exactly.
And Al Jazeera English is the official spokesman of LGBT community. which is
Just the position.
Oh my God, yes, it's disastrous.
But what do you say to people like Mehdi Hassan and Bassem Youssef? These are supposedly educated people. Do you think they're actually being paid by the guitarists to say these things? Or do you think they actually believe what they're saying?
I don't like to say about people that they are being paid, just like I don't want anyone to say that I'm being paid.
Exactly,
But I say to them, widen your gaze. Listen to different voices. Have constructive dialogue. Listen to the Arabs and Muslims who believe in peace with Israel. Listen to their voices. Listen to their pleas. Listen to what they went through. And I believe many of us, peace activists in the Arab world, who believe in peace with Israel, have a very just cause in bringing Muslims and Jews, Arabs and Israelis, closer to build a prosperous Middle East. And I want Mehdi and Hassan, Youssef, what's his name?
Bassem Youssef.
I want Bassem Youssef and I want Mehdi to listen to different voices and to have a constructive intellectual debate in order to hear the different point of view. I've watched so many interviews of Bassem Youssef. He was mentioning so many wrong information about Jews, for example, or about Zionism or Zionists, and through dialogue we can have so many things dismantled.
Yeah, exactly. So finally, what would you like to say to people about President Trump? Because there's a lot of people in New York, throughout the world, that are very anti-Trump, that have Trump derangement syndrome.
So I would like to say to them, in their domain of domestic issues, I'm not an expert. But in the domain of the Middle East, I want to say President Trump, may God bless him, he brought the greatest breakthrough of American foreign diplomacy in the Middle East, which is the Abraham Accords. President Trump, I'm talking about the Middle East domain. I'm talking about the domain of domestics, and I'm not really an expert on that, but I'm just saying in the Middle East, President Trump brought a blessing to the Middle East, and even brought a blessing to the families of the hostages who were released, because you have a strong American president who believes in peace, who believes in bringing Arabs and Israelis, Muslims and Jews closer, who has an administration and leadership that believes in bringing the children of Abraham together. So I say to them, also, widen your gaze and see the point of view of those who support President Trump for his great achievements, enormous achievements in the Middle East.
Exactly, and look at what UAE has achieved. Look at what Qatar is achieving. Look at what Saudi Arabia is achieving after Mohammed bin Salman took a charge and introduced all these reforms after 2018. Look what they built, and now they're outpacing Europe. And also
The Middle East could absolutely.
And imagine if Iran comes into the play. Iran could be
The Middle East could be far better than Europe.
Of course,
these are the words of Prince Mohammed, by the way. He said that I believe the Middle East could be far better than Europe.
Exactly, I think everything comes in full circle. But anyway, man, thanks for the speech, and it was great meeting you.
Thank you, yours.
And we'll do it again.
God
for sure.
bless you.
Thank you very much.